going to be recapping most of the day one free agency. So let's get started. At midnight Eastern time, Pittsburgh Steelers are signing former Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson on a 1-year, $1.21 million contract. I like it for Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson, I feel like was the scapegoat in Denver. I feel like Russell Wilson, though, I think given the proper community in Pittsburgh, he could do some good stuff. So, Russell Wilson's in Pittsburgh. Let's go ahead and look at some of his. Let's go ahead and look at his stats. Why don't we? All right. So Russell Wilson. I mean, he is one of the, I think, most underrated quarterbacks of all time. Still, Russ. Let's see. My computer will load. But yeah, Russell Wilson. We have one person watching. Like, subscribe, share, turn the bell on so you don't miss another upload. Whoever's watching. And like the stream. Enjoy the stream. We're going to be on here for a bit. If my computer will ever load. And I don't have somebody watching. Okay. Gosh. This thing is crazy. Okay. Can this computer just load? Here we go. So Russell Wilson, this past season, had a 66.4 completion percentage. Hold on. Alright, this past season, he had a 66.4 completion percentage, 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Not terrible numbers. He could have played better, but I think that's a steal of a contract. Next, we have the Detroit Lions re-signing Graham Glasgow on a 3-year, $20 million contract. Now, Graham Gano, I feel like, is an underrated offensive lineman. I feel like he protects Jared Goff well. And, I think for an offensive lineman, this is a good deal. You keep him around in the building. So, Graham Glasgow, this past season, well, it doesn't say offensive lineman stats because they are always disrespected. But Graham Glasgow, I appreciate. I feel like he's a great interior blocker. So we'll have to see. But that's all I have to say on that. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars signed former Buffalo Bills center Mitch Morse to a 2-year, $10.5 million contract. I like that for Jacksonville. You get a good offensive lineman, and you really need offensive line to help out Trevor Lawrence. And I think this is good, So, yeah, I like that move. Now we have the Indianapolis Colts re-signing outside linebacker Zaire Franklin to a 3-year, $31.26 million contract. Now, look. Zaire Franklin. Let's see. Zaire Franklin, this past season, had 179 combined tackles, 72 assists, 1.5 sacks, and that's it. I'm not going to lie. The Colts overpaid. Like, Zaire Franklin's not worth 3 years, $31.26 million. Who dat, Dad? How you doing? But like I said, Zaire Franklin, he's not worth this money. I'm sorry. Like, he had 1.5 sacks. Like, anybody can put up those numbers. I just don't understand it, but Hey, the Colts think that they have some, I guess. Now, the Carolina Panthers bring in. Hold on. Carolina Panthers sign cornerback. Hold on. The Carolina Panthers have signed or re-signed cornerback Troy Hill on a 1-year contract extension. I don't know the cost, but he had 48 combined tackles, 18 assists, and 1 interception for 61 yards, and it went for a touchdown. I like Troy Hill. As much as I hate the Panthers, I like Troy Hill. Look, because one thing I am not biased, okay? Wait, hold on. We just got news. Hold on. Guys, we have breaking news on this show. Xavier McKinney is signing with the Green Bay Packers. Xavier McKinney is headed to Green Bay. Breaking news on the show. Xavier McKinney to the Packers. We're going to get to that in a second. But like I said about Troy Hill, I like him. I think he's special. Sucks that he's on the Panthers, though. But I want to talk about Xavier McKinney. First, let me see the contract. It doesn't say the contract. It probably doesn't because this was just breaking news. Does it say his contract? It does. Xavier McKinney will sign a 4-year, $68 million contract with the Green Bay Packers. This changes the whole ball game, folks. Xavier McKinney, I like him. You know, going to Green Bay, that I think is a start for something special for him. Xavier McKinney this past season, he's a former Giant safety, and he's going to the Packers. Xavier McKinney this past season had 1 interception, 1 pass defended. The numbers don't show it, but he barely gets targeted. Why do you think he don't be racking up so many tackles? Because he doesn't need to. I like Xavier McKinney. But Xavier McKinney is on his way to Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Woo! Free agency is already getting spicy. Now let's get back to other stuff. New England Patriots have released linebacker Chris Board, clearing $1.96 million in cap. Chris Board, I literally did not know he existed until reading that. But that makes sense. You know, Chris Board hasn't really been doing nothing. This past season with the Patriots, he only had 10 combined tackles and 3 assists. So that makes sense that he's one of the guys that got cut. Next, the Arizona Cardinals they re-signed their center, Tristan Colin Castillo, to a 1-year, $1.75 million contract extension. I'm not going to lie, I don't know who he is. I heard the name before, but I don't know who he is. If there's any Cardinals fans watching, do y'all like the sign, or do you like the signing? Do you not like the signing? Let me know. Next, New York Jets are re-signing kicker Greg Zuerlein to a 2-year, $8.4 million contract extension. So now look, Greg Zuerlein is Mr. Reliable. You know, he is Mr. Reliable. Because if you need him in a clutch situation, he'll deliver. As a Saints fan, he's the one who ended the no call, basically. He's the one who ended the game. But this past season, Greg Zuerlein for the Jets the team that he's re-signing with. He was 35 for 38, 92.1%. I like it for the Jets. Like I said, he's Mr. Reliable. He can hit from 50, 55 if you give him the chance. So, Greg Zuerlein, I like him going to the Jets. Now we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers re-signing kicker Chase McLaughlin to a 3-year, $12.3 million contract extension. I like it. Like I said, I'm not biased. I hate the Buccaneers, but I'm not biased. Chase McLaughlin had like one terrible kick, but other than that, he's been, I won't say Mr. Automatic, but he's been doing the thing. Chase McLaughlin. This past season, with the Buccaneers, he was, let's see. Alright, so Dad asked why no one is going to the Saints. Well, I wonder, LOL. Well, you see, Dad, that's because we ain't got no money. We're $9 million over the cap. Like, we're not going to get no big names with that price. You know, it's not like last year where a lot of players were coming, because last year we were able to clear all the money. But this year we didn't do that. At least not in time. I still think we might get a couple guys, but we're not going to get no big name guys. I'm sorry. We just don't have the cap space for that. So that's why we're not signing. That's why nobody's coming to the Saints yet. Yeah, no coach as well. I mean, if you say that I could, so say you're a free agent, right? And you want to sign somewhere, obviously. You want to look at that coach. Are you going to want to sign with the coach named Dennis Allen? Or will you want to sign with to a coach with the name of Andy Reid? DeMeco Ryans? You know, Sean McVay. So, yeah. LOL, yeah. But, yeah. Chase McLaughlin. I like him. I do. I don't like the Buccaneers, but I like him. And I think Chase McLaughlin might be the second best kicker in the NFC South, behind Younghoe Koo. Yeah. It's between him or Eddie Pinheiro for second. Okay, now why is my computer going so slow? Alright, thank you. Alright, next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles re-signing guard Landon Dickerson to a 4-year, $84 million contract extension. So I've been up for the Eagles. I like this. You know, the Eagles have been making moves. They re-signed him. They signed Saquon. The Eagles have been doing the thing. So Landon Dickerson, I feel like, is definitely a capable guard. We'll have to see how he plays next year, but I like him. Next, Indianapolis Colts are re-signing wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr., a guy I wanted the Saints to get, but the Colts paid him 3 years, $70 million. Alright. He stays in Indy. Colts placed him under the franchise tag. And they were able to work out a contract. Michael Pittman this past season, 109 receptions, 1,152 yards, 10.6 yards per reception. His longest reception was a 75-yard reception, and he had 4 touchdowns. Yeah, Michael Pittman, he's a good receiver. He is underrated. He is Mr. Underrated himself. Like, ever since, when did he get drafted? Ever since 2020. Look at his quarterbacks that he had to play with ever since 2020. Carson Wentz. Well, no, his rookie year, Phillip Rivers. He retired. Carson Wentz. He wasn't the answer. Then who was their quarterback last year? What was his name? I'm blanking on who their quarterback was last year. Now I'm curious. Hold on. Who was their quarterback in 2022? Watch it be like some obvious guy. It was Sam Ehlinger. Oh, that's right. They had Matt Ryan and Sam Ehlinger. So, and then now he had Anthony Richardson, but then he got hurt, so then he had to play with Gardner Minshew. So Michael Pittman's doing this with these type of quarterbacks. But move aside, Michael Pittman. Now I want to talk about a real guy. The New Orleans Saints have re-signed inside linebacker Demario Davis to a 2-year, $17.25 million contract restructured extension. That boy got his money, and I'm happy for him as a Saints fan. He was the only one who cared last season. I don't care what you say. Demario Davis was about to put the boom on somebody last season. Last year, had 121 combined tackles, 47 assists, 6.5 sacks, which led the team. I appreciate Demario. He will retire as a Saint. And let's get this, Demario. Let's go. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals have re-signed running back Trayvon Williams. I don't know the contract and I don't know the numbers. But Trayvon Williams, I feel like... Let me take a look at his stats. Trayvon Williams this past season with the Bengals, he had 15 carries, 69 yards, 4.6 yards a run, and 7 receptions. Yeah, Trayvon Williams, I mean, I feel like he's a good kick returner or punt returner. I think they're paying him for special teams, but we'll just have to see. Maybe that's what the Colts did with Zion Franklin as well. I don't know. But now, the Chicago Bears made a move. And no, it's not the move that y'all thought was going to happen so far. Hey, Jerry. How you doing, Jerry? By the way, Jerry, tomorrow I'm going to be on my dad's show, and he's actually in the chat right now, so you can stay. So at 6:30, go on his show, and I'm going to be on there. So yeah, just letting you know. But, by the way, Jerry, I have a question for you. Did you watch my interview with Kyle yet? I'm just letting you know, if you haven't, it is a great interview that I had with him. But back to this. The Chicago Bears have signed former Philadelphia Eagles running back DeAndre Swift. Yes, Jerry, I know the Saints need to wake up. But like I said earlier in the stream, Dennis Allen ain't convincing nobody to come here. Okay? People are going to look at it. Well, Jerry, I'm not saying that you need to do anything, but dude, if you have some free time, I have a link on in my community tab. That is one of the best shows ever. I actually have 2 links in the chat, but it's going to be like the first one that I made. But, back to this. DeAndre Swift to the Bears, 3 years. Yep, we've been shouting that, but it ain't going to happen. Bears sign DeAndre Swift, 3 years, $24 million. Swift last season, I feel like, was a great running back. People are not talking about Swift. He had 229 carries, 1,049 yards, 4.6 yards carry, and 5 touchdowns. I'm just letting you know, DeAndre Swift is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I don't want to hear no argument. I think it was week 2 against Minnesota. This man popped off for like over 150 yards or something. DeAndre Swift is not afraid. Ever since he was in Detroit, he's been doing this thing. So, I like DeAndre Swift going to Chicago. Next, we have another release The Green Bay Packers are releasing former All-Pro left tackle David Bakhtiari, clearing $20.95 million of cap space. That's probably how they signed Xavier McKinney earlier in this show. But David Bakhtiari, I like him. I still think he has something left in the tank. But, I mean, I kind of expected this to happen. Especially since, the Packers are basically, they thought that they were going to be in a rebuild process, but after their first year with Jordan Love, now they're trying to go all in. So I think they had to sacrifice him. Yeah, Aaron Jones did get cut today, and we will get to that later in the show. But yeah, Aaron Jones was cut by the Packers today, and we will get to that later in the show. Like, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes or so. Well, to like nearly the end of the show, we'll get to Aaron Jones cut. Okay, I got a notification. Let's see. Speaking of that, now they're talking about Aaron Jones landing spots on Bleacher Report. Yeah, Aaron Jones did get cut. It was confirmed. That's how they got another running back that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Now let's get to another running back. The Tennessee Titans are signing former Dallas Cowboys running back Tony Pollard to a 3-year, $24 million contract. I'm about to roast everything out of the Titans. I swear. Tony Pollard. Last season, 252 carries, 1,005 yards, 4 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. This man took the number 1 running back role. The number 1. And he did worse than when he was a backup. Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, listen to me. Y'all made a mistake. Y'all should have kept Derrick Henry. He's way better than Tony Pollard. And don't give me that bull crap about age. To be honest, Dad, I don't know. I think they have that one dude. I don't know. But Tony Pollard is the definition of mid. Mid. How do you have less yards and less touchdowns when you're a starter than when you were a backup? Titans? No. This was a mistake. Let's just move on. I'm getting tired just thinking about the Titans, of what they just did. Now, the Minnesota Vikings have signed former Houston Texans defensive end Jonathan Grenard to a 4-year, $76 million contract. I like Grenard. I think Grenard is a good Marcus Davenport replacement, if y'all even remember that he exists. So, Grenard, I feel like he still has room to improve. And $76 million, you can argue, is an overpay. But, I mean, he had 12.5 sacks. That is not overpay for me. This man had 12.5 sacks this season. Plus 52 tackles, 36 of them being solo. So, I think the Texans, honestly, I think that was an underpay. I'm just saying. Kansas City Chiefs sign long snapper James Winchester. Don't know who you are, buddy. Let's move on. Cincinnati Bengals are extending tight end Drew Sample on a 3-year, $10.5 million contract. And before y'all but Drew Sample, he's not even their number 1 tight end. No, he's not. He's far from that. But one thing he is, this man can rumble, he can block, and he didn't have a bad season. Like, he had 22 receptions for 163 yards, 7.4 yards reception, long reception being a 22-yard gain, 2 touchdowns. I think that price is just right. Denver Broncos are signing, drum roll please, okay, no, not that, okay. The Denver Broncos are signing former Miami Dolphins safety Brandon Jones to a 3-year, $20 million contract. I think that price is just right. This season he had 48 tackles and got himself 2 interceptions. I think it was just right. Who is the Dallas Cowboys running back? That's what I want to know. Let's see. Maybe if I go under depth chart. Maybe that will tell me. Who is the running back? I know they have somebody. I think his name's like Royce or something. Rico Dowdle. The Dallas Cowboys' #1 running back right now is Rico Dowdle. Hey, honestly, I think he's better than Pollard. And I'm not trolling. Rare W by the Cowboys. Now, the Tennessee Titans are signing center Lloyd Cushenberry. Lloyd Cushenberry. Rico Dowdle is his name, Jerry. I know, I'm not making that up. That is his real name. Lloyd Cushenberry, I think, is a good center. We'll just have to see how he performs. And the Minnesota Vikings are re-signing right tackle David Queshenberry. Now the Washington Commanders are signing former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Dorrance Armstrong. I thought that they might, due to the fact that their head coach is Dan Quinn and he was the Cowboys defensive coordinator. So he's trying to bring some of his guys over to Washington. Dorrance Armstrong had 38 combined tackles, 18 assists, and 7.5 sacks. I like the pickup for Washington. I think he can do some. We just have to see. Now let's get into some bigger names. Jacksonville Jaguars are signing former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Gabriel Davis on a 3-year, $39 million contract that can potentially get bumped up to $50 million with incentives. Gabriel Davis. Let's check out his numbers. Davis, I feel like, is underrated because Gabriel Davis had 45 receptions, 746 yards, 16.6 yards a catch, and 7 touchdowns. I feel like he's underrated. Yeah, he doesn't produce big numbers, but when he does, for example, y'all remember that Bills-Chiefs playoff game before? That man had like 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Speaking of the Bills, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills. Let's see. All right. The Buffalo Bills re-sign cornerback Cam Lewis to a 2-year, $4 million contract. Cam Lewis, 21 combined tackle, 4 assist season. If they were going to pay him, this is the right contract, but they could have used that money for someone else. I'm sorry, Cam Lewis is not he's not somebody that I would understand for you to bring back. You could have signed somebody else. But next, let's get into a big name. Las Vegas Raiders are signing former Miami Dolphins defensive tackle Christian Wilkins to a 4-year, $110 million contract. Boy got paid. Got that big payday in Las Vegas. 65 combined tackles, 27 assists, and he got himself 9 sacks. This is a well-deserved contract. I don't want to hear nothing. Christian Wilkins is the George Kittle of defense. And yeah, let's move on. The New York Giants are signing former New England Patriots wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski. I don't think I said that name right, and I'm not going to say it again. But yeah, he's in New York now. I think they probably just signed him for special teams. He sounds like he's just mainly a special teamer. He has the name Gunner. But as a receiver, he only had 1 reception for he didn't get a single yard on the reception. So yeah, they're signing him for special teams. There's no way that he's actually going to be a part of the receiver corps. Yeah. All right. Washington Commanders are signing former Dallas Cowboys center Tyler Badaz to a 3-year, $30 million contract. Tyler Badaz, he's experienced. Like I said, Dan Quinn bringing some of his guys from Dallas. We'll see how they do. Next, Houston Texans. All right, hold on. Let me get his stats up. The Houston Texans are signing, and this hurts me. Houston Texans are signing former New Orleans Saints cornerback Lonnie Johnson on a 1-year contract. I believe he was with the Texans before. He recorded 168 tackles, 122 solo, 3 interceptions, 13 passes defended, and 15 special teams tackle. Well, you see, Jerry, the Commanders or the Eagles don't play in the NFC North. They play in the NFC East. So that theoretically cannot happen unless they switch divisions. So your theory is already incorrect, but hey, I guess they could switch divisions. But what? Alright, yeah, the NFC East. I thought you were trying to say the NFC East, but yeah, we'll have to see. But hey, good news. Marshawn Lattimore is still... Yeah, I feel that. But hey, good news. Marshawn Lattimore is still a Saint. He better not get traded. But no, Mickey Loomis, they're going to escape, or they're going to say that we're not going to trade him, then they're probably going to trade him on draft day or something. Don't trade him. But yeah, Lonnie Johnson, I liked him in New Orleans. I feel like he made this team last year for a reason. Lonnie Johnson, I wish you well in Houston. I hope you have a nice year in Houston. And then, yeah. Yeah, I feel that, Jerry. One time I thought 1 + 1 was 5. So, you're not the only one. Alright. Moving on. Los Angeles Rams are signing former Detroit Lions guard Jonah Jackson to a 3-year, $51 million contract. I like it. I feel like Jonah Jackson was definitely a part of the Lions' offensive line. We'll have to see. Now, Jacksonville Jaguars are signing former Green Bay Packers safety Darnell Savage to a 3-year contract. Darnell Savage, he was obviously the guy with the infamous pick 6 against Dak Prescott in the playoffs, which basically sent the Cowboys to a downward spiral. But this past season, he had 51 combined tackles and 15 assists. Though Savage, his only interception came in the playoffs. But I will say this, he's not worth a 3-year contract. Maybe a 1 or 2 year contract. But a 3-year contract, I think you're banking on your future with this guy. Next up, Los Angeles Rams are signing... Hold on, let me get his name up. The Los Angeles Rams are signing former Seattle Seahawks tight end Colby Parkinson. Last season, he had 25 receptions for 247 yards, 9.9 yards a catch, longest reception being a 27-yard gain, and 2 touchdowns. I like the signing for the Rams. I think he won't blow up the stat sheet or win you games, but he will be reliable in the middle of the field. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles are signing former New York Jets outside linebacker Bryce Huff to a 3-year, $51.1 million contract to go to Philly. The Eagles have been making moves. Bryce Huff, hold on. Alright, Bryce Huff this past season for the Jets. He had 29 total tackles, 19 solo, 10 assists, and 10 sacks. I like Bryce Huff. He's not going to blow up the stat sheet, but he will get some sacks. I feel like he's more of a pass rusher than a run stopper. But for the Eagles, I think this is a good fit. You pair him aside Hassan Reddick. If he stays there, I like that. Now, let's get into another big topic, I guess. We went over that Aaron Jones was released earlier. We're going to mention it one more time at least. But the Green Bay Packers are signing, drumroll please, former Las Vegas Raiders running back Josh Jacobs. Now, I don't know the numbers. I think it was like a 4-year deal or something like that. But Josh Jacobs is headed to Green Bay. And I'm sorry, I believe it was like a 4-year, like $40 million. I'm not sure. But Josh Jacobs last season, look, he had a great year in 2022. But then 2023, 233 carries, 805 yards, 3.5 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. That's not a 4-year, however, $1 million contract. Look, Josh Jacobs, he has his years. But, look, for running backs, he's already been in the NFL for 5 years. So this contract's taking up him until his 9th season. I just don't like the fit. I feel like they should have kept Aaron Jones. That's just me. But now, the Jacksonville Jaguars are signing former Denver Broncos kicker Will Lutz, who's also former Saints kicker. But they're signing Will Lutz to a 3-year contract. And I love the signing. Last year, he was 30 for 34, 88.2%. I feel like the Saints were quick to rush him out. Honestly, I'm surprised Sean Payton even let him go. But Will Lutz, I still like him. He had some great moments in New Orleans, especially that year. I believe it was, he was a great kicker. And he still is. He's still a pretty good kicker. He's not what he once was, but he can still win you games. All right, we're winding down to the last, hold on, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. We're winding down to our last 13 signings or whatever. The Atlanta, and this makes me sad, but the Atlanta Falcons are signing former Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. We have more breaking news. We have more breaking news. Earlier today on this show, it broke that Xavier McKinney was a Packer. Even though here it's saying he's an Eagle. Are you a Packer or are you an Eagle? There's plenty of breaking news. Alright, now I'm saying it's Packer. But Gardner Minshew was assigned to the Raiders, but we'll get to that. But Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons. It's unfortunate because a lot of Saints fans not going to admit this. Kirk Cousins is still a great quarterback. That man was leading the league in touchdowns. This man was leading the league in touchdowns before he got hurt. He had the Vikings on a winning streak till he got hurt. So I like the sign. Kirk Cousins. And this is coming from a Saints fan. So you can't call me biased. I hate the Falcons with a passion. But I will admit when they do something good. I'll admit that. It sucks. That's life sometimes. I'm sorry. I won't be surprised if the Saints come in last in the division. I won't. And I am a Saints fan. Repeat, I am a Saints fan. Kirk Cousins last season, before he got hurt, 69.5 completion percentage, 2,331 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a 103.8 rating. Yeah, Jerry. Look, some Saints fans won't admit this. Kirk Cousins is still a great quarterback. You know, he's a pocket passer, which wins you games. So I never thought I was going to say this about any Falcons move ever. But I like the move with Atlanta. For Atlanta. But it's still who dat. And y'all still the Dirty Birds. We're still going to sweep y'all. We're not, but I'm trying to pretend that we will. I'm sorry. I won't be surprised if they sweep us next year. And I'm being as honest as I can be. The Falcons are a better team. And I'm not biased. Alright, but now let's get on to some more news. Philadelphia Eagles are signing former New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley. 3-year, $37.75 million contract. Look. Y'all remember last year? Giant fans were coming at my neck. Saying how Daniel Jones, he deserved that contract. I would rather pay Daniel Jones than I would take on Barkley. Guess who's making bigger bucks, bruh? Y'all lost Saquon Barkley. He was our only player. Daniel Jones is a bum. He's a bum. You lost your only hope. Your only hope. You lost it. Saquon Barkley, 3 years, $37.75 million for the Eagles. Not only that, but he went to the Eagles. He was like, all right, you're going to pay that scrub, but you ain't going to pay me. All right, I'll come here twice a year, so I'll see you at least 6 times, and I'll whoop you all 6 times. Saquon Barkley, this past season with the Giants, 247 carries, 962 yards, 3.9 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. I like that signing for the Eagles. And I love that he's not going back to the ugly Giants. Next, Arizona Cardinals are signing former Tennessee Titans cornerback Sean Bunting to a 3-year, $25.5 million contract. Sean Bunting, well, his real name's Sean Murphy Bunting. You know, he was with the Titans. He had 57 combined tackles, 15 assists, 2 interceptions for 12 yards. I like it for Arizona. I think it can be a good piece. I think that might be an overpay, but I still like it. Next, we have the New England Patriots signing former Washington Commanders running back Antonio Gibson to a 3-year, $11.25 million contract. Antonio Gibson, I thought he was going to do great things in Washington, and I still think he has so much potential. But Gibson, his last season, he had 65 carries, 265 yards, 4.1 yards a carry, and 1 touchdown. Those are not great numbers. I'm sorry. But next, the New York Giants are signing former Green Bay Packers guard Jon Runyan to a 3-year, $30 million contract. For the Giants, I like that signing. You know, you need some offensive line help. So, yeah. Next, the Minnesota Vikings are signing former Miami Dolphins linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel to a 2-year, $20 million contract. I love that signing for the Vikings. And I do not like the Vikings. And if you know, you know. Or am I talking about Andrew Van Ginkel? All right, Andrew Van Ginkel. Oh, okay. All right, hold on. I got notifications that I don't care about. Alright, there we go. Andrew Van Ginkel, 69 combined tackles, 27 assists, 6 sacks, and 1 interception. And also, that interception went for 33 yards and a touchdown. I like that signing for the Vikings. I think that their defense will be better, especially with Andrew Van Ginkel for 2 more years. Now, we talked about it earlier. Green Bay Packers are releasing running back Aaron Jones to clear $5.2 million of cap. I understand why they did that, but I still think Aaron Jones had what it takes. Like, I know he was injured a lot, but last season, Aaron Jones, 142 carries, 656 yards, 4.6 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Now look, I still think Aaron Jones can. So how do I say this? I still think Aaron Jones can find himself as a number 1 running back. But he's going to have to play better. But I still think if he gets healthy, he can be a dominant running back. Next, the Minnesota Vikings are signing former. Hold on, let me make sure he played for the team I'm about to name because I don't want to say something that looks stupid. Alright, good, because what I was about to say was about to sound stupid because I was about to say Jets linebacker, but then I remember he left the Jets. Alright, the new. See, there I'm going again. The Minnesota Vikings have signed former New York Jets linebacker Blake Cashman to a 3-year, $25.5 million contract. Former Texans linebacker, this past season, 106 total tackles, 56 solo tackles, the assists, 2 sacks. I think that was an overpay, but we'll just have to see. Next, the Indianapolis Colts are signing. Hold on, let me get his name up. Alright. The Indianapolis Colts are re-signing defensive end Tyquan Lewis. Last season, 25 combined tackles, 7 assists, 4 sacks. I like that signing. I don't know what the details are. I like that signing. You know, you keep Tyquan Lewis, who is a guy who can, like I said, not put up big numbers, but he can do the thing. Next, Carolina Panthers are signing former Miami Dolphins guard. Dang, the Dolphins are just losing everybody. But they're signing former Miami Dolphins guard Robert Hunt to a 5-year, $100 million contract. I like that for Carolina. Like I said, I'm not biased. Last year I was biased. This year I'm not being biased. Robert Hunt, I like that signing for Carolina. He's definitely an interior player. And shoot, he might have to play tight end for y'all team, from how trash y'all are. Next, Arizona Cardinals. Let me get the name up so I don't look stupid. I'm pretty sure he played for the Raiders, though. Yep, the Arizona Cardinals are signing former Las Vegas Raiders defensive end Bilal Nichols to a 3-year, $21 million contract. Last season, he had 48 total tackles, 25 assists, 25 solo, 23 assists, 1.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. That is an overpay of a lifetime. He is not worth that much. At least, if you're going to give him 21 mil, at least make it like 1 or 2 years. 3 years? No. Next, the Atlanta Falcons. Let me get the name up. You alright, Genesis? The Atlanta Falcons are signing former San Francisco 49ers tight end Charlie Warner. Dang, the 49ers haven't signed anybody yet. Last season, he had 3 receptions for 32 yards. That was an overpay. They probably signed him for special teams or something, but yeah. Next, speaking of the Falcons, the Houston Texans are signing former Atlanta Falcons cornerback Jeff Okudah to a 1-year, $4.75 million contract. Jeff Okudah, I mean, man, what a career by Jeff Okudah. He was the 3rd overall pick a couple years ago, and now he's bouncing from team to team. Last season with the Falcons, he had 44 combined tackles, 10 assists. Yeah, Jeff Okudah, you suck. I'm sorry. I knew you were not a 3rd overall pick material, but you just freaking suck. You're terrible. You're probably going to sign 1-year deals for the rest of your career. You're probably not even going to make $5 million for the rest of your career. Next, Houston Texans are signing former Tennessee Titans defensive end Denico Autry to a 2-year, $20 million contract. I like it for Houston. Staying in the division, 50 combined tackles, 20 assists, 11.5 sacks just a year ago. Those are outstanding numbers. And I think that contract is steal. Next. Man, my voice is about to run out. Pittsburgh Steelers. Hold on. The Pittsburgh Steelers are signing former Houston Texans punter Cameron Johnston. Last season, he had 66 punts for 3,145 yards and 3 touchbacks. Cameron Johnston, I mean, he's a decent punter, but I don't know the details. Yeah. Next, New York Giants are replacing Saquon Barkley, and they are signing former Houston Texans running back Devin Singletary to a 3-year, $16.5 million contract. This contract's a steal for Devin Singletary. That's basically a Jamal Williams type of contract from last season. But then again, Jamal Williams didn't do that great this season. But Devin Singletary last season with the Texans, 216 carries, 898 yards, 4.2 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. He did outstanding when Dameon Pierce wasn't doing great. Next, the Indianapolis Colts are re-signing defensive tackle Grover Stewart to a 3-year, $39 million contract extension. Grover Stewart, I mean, he didn't do terrible. He had 41 combined tackles, 18 assists, and half a sack. Honestly, they should have let him walk. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers are signing former Baltimore Ravens running back Gus Edwards to a 2-year contract. Gus Edwards, last season, 198 carries, 810 yards, 4.1 yards a carry, and 13 touchdowns. He had a Jamal Williams from last season type of year. Now we'll just have to see how he does this season. Next, the Cincinnati Bengals are signing former Baltimore Ravens safety Geno Stone to a 2-year, $15 million contract. If you're a Bengals fan, you are doing jumping jacks. Because not only do you sign them to your team to make your team better, but you steal them from the Ravens. That must be a great feeling. Geno Stone last season for the Ravens, he was playing great. Geno Stone last season, 68 total tackles, 44 solo, 24 assists, and had 7 interceptions. Geno Stone was balling. Alright, next, hold on, let me pull his name up. Alright. The Houston... I'm not trying to Michael Ford somebody in baseball too. Okay. Houston Texans are signing former Cleveland Browns cornerback Mike Ford to a 2-year, $4.5 million contract. Last season, 28 total tackles, 22 solos, 6 assists, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 interception. I mean, he's not terrible, but I mean, they could have got somebody better. Next, we're down to a couple more. Las Vegas Raiders. It broke like 20 minutes ago or something. Las Vegas Raiders are signing former Indianapolis Colts quarterback Gardner Minshew to a 2-year, $25 million contract. Gardner Minshew. Last season for the Colts, he had to step in because of an injured Anthony Richardson. I love that deal for Gardner Minshew and the Colts. And the Raiders. Last season, 305 for 490. 62.2 completion percentage. Had 3,305 yards, 6.6 yards a pass, 15 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Gardner Minshew is a great backup quarterback. So for the Raiders to get him on that price, I love that for Vegas. And now, this might be our final one, but I will refresh the page to see if anybody else went somewhere. The Jacksonville Jaguars are snatching former Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Devin Duvernay to a 2-year, $8.5 million contract. Devin Duvernay is headed to Jacksonville, more like Saxonville. I'm just kidding, he's a receiver. Alright, Devin Duvernay. Devin Duvernay last season for the Ravens. I believe he was their punt returner. I like Devin Duvernay. I think the Ravens should have kept him. Last season, 4 receptions, 18 yards. But I think they're just signing him for free agency purposes. Now let me refresh the page. Alright, we have one more, and then we're probably going to get out of here. San Francisco 49ers finally made a move. The San Francisco 49ers are signing former Buffalo Bills outside linebacker Leonard Floyd to a 2-year, $20 million contract. Leonard Floyd last season for the Bills. 32 combined tackles, 11 assists, 10.5 sacks. That's a steal of a contract. To help the 49ers, they're going to need him. But that's going to end the stream, guys. Thanks for Dad and Jerry showing out. And I'll leave you all with a who dat.